Here. What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. I had an old school song right there, huh? I miss it. Good times. Oh, it's coming back. Love it. What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. Hope you're enjoying your sports Saturday. There's NASCAR, MMA, NBA. Should be a good day, hopefully. All right. Clarks, appreciate you. What's up, Ducking? What up, Jay? What up, Dang Lazy Mofo? Mundo's World, Noel. Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing all right. We have got a short slate tonight. Late lock. So we'll have a little fun. We got the Pistons at the Cavs. 16-point spread. Ooh. The Hawks at the Heat. The Rockets at the Spurs, the 76ers at the Bucks, and the Timberwolves at the Kings. That's probably where most of our attention will end up, but that game is an hour and a half after the Bucks game, so it's kind of on an island. So we'll go game by game like we always do. How'd you guys make out last night? Bigger slate, wilder outcomes. We had Julius Randle lead the entire slate in fantasy points over on DraftKings. 43 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 8 threes. We talked about him leading the Knicks in 3-point attempts per game and how the Heat do funnel shot attempts outside the paint 2-3. So it was kind of a natural spot for him. I was hoping that PrizePicks would offer the 3-point threshold. They didn't when I had the lock cards. Nikola Jokic, second on the slate in fantasy points, 61. He went 18, 18, and 10. Another triple-double. And then one that kind of got me. This one, heck, we even discussed this under. Mikal Bridges. 38 real points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. He had 61 fantasy points. Brooklyn Nets 115, the Celtics 105. I don't know what that team even is. I really don't. But whatever it is, it seems to be contingent on the back of Mikal Bridges. So yeah, DeJounte Murray next up, 41 points, 5 boards, 6 assists. A lot of 40-point games lately in the NBA. 35-point game from Devin Booker, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. That's back-to-back games for Devin Booker with Kevin Durant, where he's dropped a huge score. So something to look out for. Now, in back-to-back slates, I think it was 60 the game before, 57 now. Completely unrestricted, 36 minutes for him. So maybe he's at the top of the hierarchy when we start creating that podium of guys to click. But his success is also coming at the fantasy unsuccess of DeAndre Ayton. So something to keep an eye on. Jimmy Butler did play through a Q tag. He had 33 points. Damian Lillard, 33 points. Real points, by the way. And then the game of the night, I think it was the Kings and the Clippers, 128-127. Your final score. Clippers lose another one. And unfortunately for Westbrook, this is probably the best game he's played in a month or two, and he still doesn't have a win to show for it. 50 fantasy points out of Westbrook, 51 out of Paul George. Eric Gordon had 32 fantasy points, and those were my 3 highest owned players. So it was a fruitful night in that regard. Russell Westbrook was plus 10, Eric Gordon plus 16, and they lost by 1. So when you point and blame somebody on this one, if you just let plus minus tell the story, Terrence Mann gets the minus 20. Bones Highland gets the minus 11. So tough loss for them. The run nose scores back. De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, and Domantas Sabonis both had dueling 50. So 4 guys in this game had 50 fantasy points. That must have made for a very intriguing showdown slate, eh? Anyway, that was last night. We move onward. We move upward. And like I said, we got a couple games tonight to break down. I appreciate you guys being here, being with me. More people rolling in here. Amazement. What's up, buddy? Jay, 1 out of 3. Need a bounce back slate. Let's go. Any RJ Hampton love? Maybe, but maybe not. We'll see. These smaller slates, you can get a little bit cuter in some spots for big field tournaments. I open up the depth chart because I also had a tag on him. What up, Vic? I think Bam's gonna kill it tonight. We'll see. I like going to the Hamptons. Acknowledge me. Okay, Roman. All right, let's pop open different window here. I don't know why this tab is taking so long to load. Last 2 days. There it is. All right. What's up, Ryan? Love these 5 p.m. NBA games on the Saturday. Just get a little showdown sweat early. Yeah. You like them showdowns? When they first came out, I didn't know how to feel. I guess I don't play NBA showdowns as much as I probably should. But you can only do so much. I get so burnt out by the time regular lock hits. I just want to chill. That promo was Cody, but great. The one with him and I actually just watched it on YouTube when I was getting the spreadsheet ready. It was all right. I'm so proud of Roman, how he's become so good. Because back in my day, people hated him. What up, Lamont? What up, Crispy? Hope you guys are doing all right. Happy Saturday. You guys doing MMA tonight? And Monday? Oh, I got to get caught up. I'm slacking. If you guys doing MMA tonight, I gotta let you know. No else advantage. Give you one of those free squares. John Jones. Over under half a significant strike. You pair that with something you like. You could pair it with an NBA prop. You could know nothing about MMA like me and probably assume he's going to land one significant strike. So if we peruse through this slate, we can find something we dig. It's a $10 max bet. If you guys want to get some action on it and you're not on No House Advantage yet, well, when you sign up, make sure you use code GUNDACKER. Show me some love. You also get double your first deposit up to $100. You can use that link in chat. It's all good, right? What up, J. Cole? Jermaine! Cole, what up, Willie Wilson? I need a FanDuel pick. No one looking at. Got one. It certainly will be on the brain as we go game by game here. Clark out for the season. Morant out for 2 games. Gun problems. Did that just drop? Dude, Ja Morant, man. You never see me tweeting or having opinions on players like the Kyrie. Everyone has an opinion on Kyrie, or everyone has an opinion on Odell, right? If anything, I defend them. You know what I'm saying? They could be their own people. John Morant, man, he's so easy to like, but he's making it so hard to continue liking him on some of the stuff, right? And a couple of these stories, if they were in a vacuum, you know, whatever. But that's starting to be like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And then when you just literally put yourself on camera, man, I really hope that story doesn't have a bad ending, man. I really hope they can make some sense of the situation. That man is got so much talent and has an ability to live a top 1% life, right? Oh man, don't throw it away. Just please don't. John going to control the fight today. Yeah, I don't really know much about MMA, but as long as he lands one significant strike, we out here. Team decision, that makes sense. Who doesn't ruin his career such a young all-star? Yeah, man, and the Grizzlies are a fun team, man. Last year, they're just a fun team to root for, but now they're like, they got a little attitude, which the attitude is what kind of makes them fun, but at the same time, maybe it's a little too much attitude, right? What have you done? You know? Win something, but fudge, this is leaking off the court. And I don't know, man. It's rough. He had a gun. Is it a big deal? Considering the allegations on him in the last couple of weeks, like I said, if you take any one of these stories alone, I could say there's a lot of hearsay, there's a lot of conjecture, rumors, what's the real story. But with all those stories floating, for him to be on Instagram and literally, what do they say, flash the blicky? You gotta know. You gotta know that that's not the play, bro. So if none of those stories existed and Ja was a gun owner or whatever, it's still a little sus. But in the situation, you just gotta read the room. Just gotta read the room. They need a real vet in Memphis. Adams good, but they need someone to lead those guys. I don't know, man. Who was it? Was it Iguodala? I was like, no. Ja apologized. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not here to cancel. I don't want to cancel nobody. I'm rooting for him. I hope he's just, when he's older, when he's 30, 35, he's gonna look back. Yeah, that was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. So I hope he turns it around. I just want him to not, mess up a great career, because he has a chance to be a great story. Still, I could talk some sense into him. So every game courtside, yeah. Hey, young man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But how many young men make dumb decisions and mess up a bright future? So I just hope he doesn't do that. That's all I'm saying. I'm certainly not here to judge. I'm rooting for him to do better. Right? Anyway, we should knock out, I guess, one plug. We'll do this plug a couple times. We only have two. We did the MLB offer. Do I have a picture of it somewhere? I think it might be in the Gundecker Gaming Discord. Announcements. Yeah, we do. All right. So we have 2 coupon uses of this left. So if you guys want to lock in the rest of this year, which is the rest of this NBA season, the entire baseball season, most of the NFL season, and the first part of the next NBA season, daily spreadsheets, daily pre-lock Discord voice chats, the bomb detector, my player pool, projections, all that good stuff. $3.99. This is literally the best value deal that we've ever put out. $150 credit to Fantasy Cruncher on top of it, so you can rebate that down. It is quite the deal. I don't think we will see another deal as good as this. Points per dollar, you would say. There's only 2 uses on the coupon left, so we maxed it at 5. 3 have been used. So if you guys have been thinking about it, you probably shouldn't wait too much longer to get into it. Go to rundfs.com, click VIP memberships, go to the year pass. It says $4.99. Click on that, and then when when it says have a coupon code MLB, you put it in there. Boom, goes down to $3.99. If you have any questions on how to do that or anything before you buy, you can DM me on Discord or DM me on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker. And let's open up the NBA spreadsheet again, right? Let's get caught up on chat before we do. Iggy was chasing a chip and say how young-minded they were. Yeah, and it's like I said, it's one thing to be immature. Yeah. Joff in a box Shannon Sharp. Maybe. I do think that's the ironic thing, Jay. Is like we've seen some rags to riches story in the NBA. Ja's not really that story. So it's almost like he got a little clout and went a little bit backwards. But again, I don't want to put it at all. It's bad. He's not him. Can I get your Excel sheet with that $3.99? The spreadsheet? Yeah, it's literally part of the deal. Talking about this right here, Mamba, with the index portal, the stuff that we use on the stream every day. Yeah, this is literally, you guys get the link to it behind the paywall. I also do a player pool, but the player, yeah. Sign up right now if you say yeah. If you're talking about this sheet right here, Mamba, yes, this is part of this is like half of the good stuff, right? You're not just signing up to be in my Discord. Zebo 2.0. Maybe. But Zebo, man, I don't know. I guess towards the end there, Zebo was kind of likable. I guess, in the first half of his career, yeah. But I don't know, man. I grew to like Zebo because I didn't feel like he was that fake. And then I also felt like, he was I don't know, maybe. Here, what up, Ariel? Jimmy Butler is, but it's whatever. He started hanging with the rappers and dope dealers. Now he's a thug. Man, I don't know. Just don't mess it up, man. Just don't mess it up. Back to the NBA. I'm sorry, guys. It's topical, right? It's a real thing that's happening. So, hopefully it shakes out. But I'm literally rooting for him. So, no one spin this as anything other than Gun being the usual positive Gun. Me, not not the Blicky. Pistons at the Cavs. Project starting 5 for the Pistons. Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, Roddy Magruder, Isaiah Livers, James Wiseman up against Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. We got 218 total, 16-point spread. 16-point spread in favor of the home team, Cleveland Cavaliers. Injury-wise, we've got Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Alec Burks, and Bojan Bogdanovic listed as out. Hampton and Livers have a tag, but I think they're good to go. Not necessarily. Yeah, Livers is probable, and I don't even see a existing one on Hampton. Zebo was a real one, was likable, just can keep out of crowd. Yeah, that makes sense. There's a couple of guys that are likable that couldn't stay out of trouble. Like, I kind of liked Meta World Peace or Ronald Artest, but he couldn't stay out of trouble. And obviously, I love a lot of guys that can't stay out of trouble. Russell Westbrook's my favorite player. Odell Beckham's my favorite football player. Like, those guys can't stay out of trouble or stay out of the controversy. So, like, I'm way more forgiving, but man, there's a lot of smoke around what's going on with him, and it's just like every other week there's some new story coming out, and you just don't want to see a top 1% life be thrown away, So I guess there's nothing here. Hampton conditioning's active for Saturday's game. All right, so I guess it's just Livers with the true tag. And this is this is an uphill battle for the Pistons. Much like any Pistons game, I equate the Pistons kind of like the Magic, the Spurs. They have a pretty deep rotation usually, and it's a bunch of 5K stocking stuffer options that could be all right, but they could also just have a median outcome of 24 minutes and 20-something fantasy points. We might have a little better feeling today with a couple of the high usage guys out, like Bogey. Bogey represents 20 points a game, 30 plus minutes. Alec Burks, double-digit points a game. Isaiah Stewart the same. And we've seen we've seen James Wiseman get an opportunity as a starter here. Marvin Bagley's back in the cut, so maybe we are able to key in on those guys a little bit better to stabilize their minute projection. However, at best it's a bad matchup, but maybe the spread gets a little lopsided, and there's some lackadaisical defense down the stretch, and then maybe non-starters in the mix. So this is a risky game to target. It does make guys like Garland and Donovan Mitchell extremely hard to get to with a high level of confidence, because at their price points, that's a down payment on a Giannis or a Joel Embiid or Sabonis. Those guys are in much more competitive game scripts in a much faster in a better pace as well. So kind of makes any of the Cavs hard to get to with any bit of conviction or confidence. I don't know that we're expecting ownership on the Cavs at all. I would assume not. So if you just want to sprinkle a little bit in your portfolio lineups, like, I understand the thought process behind that. Darius Garland, it's not even, like he's the 8K Garland either. You need max price production here. So I'm probably going to be completely out of Cavs exposure in like 20 lineups. Even in 50 lineups, like, I'd probably be a little bit more likely to get to one of the centers. Something the Pistons have struggled with all year is points in the paint allowed. And Jared Allen, all of his points are in the paint with dunks, and Mobley can also get to the rim quite a bit. So at a discounted price point, maybe those are the guys I want to lean on. On the Pistons side, if I have to get to a couple of these guys, I'm thinking just points per dollar for minutes. Like, Wiseman is interesting. Matchup is terrible. I don't know. What are you guys thinking? Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey having an opportunity at 30-plus minutes. Could they produce on a fine per minute basis? I think so. I just think any which way you slice this game, anybody that looks halfway decent or has a ceiling worth chasing, like a Donovan Mitchell, they all have pivots that unfortunately come at higher ownership, but come with way better floors and reason. So that includes the Pistons, right? We look at some of these top tier Pistons guys. For instance, Killian Hayes, you put him in the blender with that Alec Burks, you think, hey, maybe 30 minutes, he's been a guy that can flirt with a point per minute. Same with Jaden Ivey. Well, at those price points, we still got Devontae Graham, we still got Jeremy Sohan, guys like that. So it's hard to be here with any bit of confidence. So I might just max most of the pieces from this game at 5 to 10%, the ones that make any bit of sense, and then maybe I'll max like 1 or 2 per team and let it ride. And this is just like the Phantom Ghost game that hopefully it doesn't break the slate. But I also think that's just the approach that everyone's going to take. For props, I don't know, did you guys have a peek at this game for props? I don't really think there's anything on the Pistons side I can get to with any bit of confidence. Donovan Mitchell's at 25 points, Darius Garland's at 21 points. Both those guys in a vacuum could definitely eclipse those point thresholds, but this also could be a 3-quarter game. So I like I said, I was thinking the front court guys might be the one for me. So Jared Allen is at 35.5 fantasy points. Oof. Maybe I get a little bit of interest in that. Could throw some blocks in there, but I don't know. I think I'm just letting this game exist. I'd probably dive into the rest of the slate, and if we fill out a player pool and then have to come back here to make a couple of guys make our player pool work, or just to lower our ownership, we'll do it. But this seems like a yucky game, Let's see what you guys got. At 100% DeJounte last night. At a boy Jake. That's crazy. That's huge too, though. Meta World's Peace elbow on Harden. Yeah, but that was like his thing. Like, even today. Even today, we got some guys that we know are dirty, and that's just who they are. Like Patrick Beverly. Like, I don't know. I guess those are guys that you want on your team, but you don't want to play against. Except Dylan Brooks. Everyone just seems to hate Dylan Brooks. LeVert can play a blowout. Is that a good tournament move? Do you think they would go there? Maybe. It's such a weird spot because you don't want to. It's a kind of a bad process to build for blowouts, but on a 16-point spread, like it's truly the expectation. But I just don't think, even at LeVert, you mentioned LeVert, 54 on FanDuel, like that's not really an issue. You know what I'm saying? The risk reward's not really there when we have so many alternatives at similar price point at a higher minute projection anyway. Maybe the DraftKings price is a little bit more likely to click, but oof. But it does feel like, you know, even in a blowout, like one of these four main starters probably has a ceiling that you want to get a dabble of in 150. But I don't think in 20 lineups I would add anything from the Cavs side in my player pool. Maybe a smidge of the centers. Devontae looking like the play. Yeah, last I looked, Devontae had the most ownership. Like Hamidou Diallo for value, 4,500. Yeah, I got him cooked in here right now for 30 minutes. Him and Marvin Bagley are guys that we've seen a little bit of upside from historically. So at 4,500, you know, it's one of those on a 5-gamer. If he landed you 25 fantasy points, maybe it doesn't tank you, and he does have 30 plus fantasy point potential. But like I said, at best, it's a bad matchup, and it's a pace down spot. So if we put the Cavs protecting a lead, and they're already one of the slowest paced teams, we expect them to control the game and keep this pace down. So it could just really stifle any bit of upside we might have here. Chris Paul's goated. Chris Paul's dirty, yeah. Chris Paul's dirty in a smart way. He's the guy that knows the rule book. I guess Chris Paul doesn't. He's also one of my favorite players, but yeah, I could see, you know, he's never really like celebrated like some of these other cats. So maybe. Kojo relevant on FanDuel 3,900. Whew, boy, what would have to happen for Kojo to be relevant tonight? 25 minutes in the last game, the fourth quarter, put up 10, 11 fantasy points. And then the game prior, played the entire fourth quarter against the Charlotte Hornets, put up 2. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna work on the rest of the slate, and if we have to come back for some stocking stuffers, we'll do it. But this is just ugly, you know. Hawks at the Heat, 8 p.m. So one game at 7:30. Little island. Projects 35 for the Hawks. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint Capella up against Gabe Vincent, Tyler Hero, Jimmy G, buckets, Kevin Love, Bam Adebayo. So with the Hawks, last night we got a little bit of information, right? I think we were discussing Clint Capella's minutes ad nauseum almost with the new coach here. And Capella was on the court in the fourth quarter, and it was a blowout, and they all lost 2 minutes. So Capella clocked at 25. So 27 minutes, was that? I always thought 25 to 30 was still the window, and I still think that in a competitive game, hack a Capella could become a strategy that pushes Capella off the court. But no foul trouble last night, just 25 minutes, and like we said, maybe lost 2 minutes to a blowout. So something to go off of, not gospel, but something to go off of, because I know in chat there was a lot of discussion about what Quinn Snyder meant for some of these minute rotations. We saw a big game out of DeJounte last night. He played 33 minutes. We'll plus 2 everybody implied minutes. 34 for DeAndre Hunter, Trae Young, only 29, but we expect that to be more. And DeJounte was the guy. So tonight, up against the Heat. We do have Jimmy Butler still on the injury report. Now, he was on the injury report yesterday. It was truly questionable. Ended up playing. The fact that this is a back-to-back makes me expect some squirrely stuff with him, right? Did anybody else got that feeling? Right knee soreness. Butler's been consistently listed on the injury report, but he hasn't missed a game since January 24th. However, his status is certainly in question on the second out of a back-to-back. If he sits, Max Strus, Victor Oladipo, Caleb Martin would be in line to see extra minutes in a game that is crucial for Eastern Conference playoff positioning. So, if Jimmy plays sub 9K on a 5-game slate, remember we don't necessarily have to chase the Super Saiyan ceiling, but we would want a hefty performance out of a 9K price point, almost a 50. And if we look at the player projections, how many names do we have to read off before we get to Jimmy Butler? It's a bit. Heck, we even get to Darius Garland before Jimmy Butler. So can't really see Jimmy being that much of a priority here. But in the potential absence of Jimmy, it certainly would shake things up. I think 7,200 Tyler Hero becomes a little bit more intriguing. You guys have mentioned Gabe Vincent. Would be some merit to get in here. And then Bam Adebayo at 8K on DK. His price is starting to regress a little bit now that he's got some more time alongside Kevin Love, who's kind of eating at his upside, certainly eating at his rebound potential. So there is some routes to go, and the reason why I would be more inclined to get to him here, we know that the Hawks are going to push the pace, and the Hawks' offensive rating is pretty good. So the Heat will have to likely keep up here and stay more competitive. So I think we can squeeze a little bit more out of these salaries and get some more fantasy potential. So Bam Adebayo is looking like the most intriguing click if they were all in today. If we lose a Butler, it certainly boosts a guy like Oladipo, Tyler Hero, stuff like that. So on the Hawks side, same old, right? We get to some Trae Young, we get to some DeJounte. I think sub 8K DeJounte, after what we saw last night, maybe a little bit of, I don't want to say overreaction, but hey, there's still meat on the bone at that price point to go out there and get you some. And then we know with the Heat, they're a team that funnels scoring to the outside, right? Looking at that team metrics chart, and this is what put us on Julius Randle threes yesterday, right? Look at points in the paint allowed. Miami Heat allow the fewest points in the paint in the league right now, and the opponent scoring 3-point frequency is the second highest, meaning opponent's shot volume, 43% of their shots attempted are from three. So it does make us want to look at some of the 3-point shooters from Atlanta, and they have a few of them, and they're pretty spread out, which maybe opens the door for some of our prop betting lanes. So Trae Young, 6.6 3-point attempts per game, 5.6 on DeJounte. Off the bench, Bogdan Bogdanovic at 7. Doubt we get a Bogdan prop, eh? No, just free throws. So if any of those guys open up with the 3-point prop, usually it's at 2.5. I wouldn't want to, I don't know. I think Bogey would be the most interesting at these numbers. So just something to keep an eye on. It certainly makes me not like Capella as much. Here's a guy that's going to score most of his points in the paint and gets one of the best center defenders in basketball up against him today. 10.8 points per game in the paint. So other than a few free throws, he's going to score all of his points in the paint. Does he have a point prop that's over 10, or is it going to be like 9.5? It's 9.5. So that's uncomfortable. I probably wouldn't touch that. But and a 26.5 fantasy score, that's so low. Gosh darn it, that's so low. I'm at 30, but I can't take overs here, but that is really, really low. Did you guys have any leans on props from this game, though? I think the clicks for DFS are pretty easy to get to. And 4,700 for Bogdanovic, by the way. Got him at 25 minutes, getting a little less than a fantasy point per minute, but in a blender, 4,700 on DK, I think he makes the player pool. Obviously, I think guys like... what do you say, Devontae Graham at 4,500. It's going to be way more popular, probably in 1 and 2 lineups, but a couple of pivots that make some sense in deeper field tournaments. I wouldn't push back, especially since his method of scoring is rewarded a little bit more in this matchup, right? Let's get caught up on chat. I had a sweat on Capella's rebound prop last night at 11. He managed to get to 12. He had to muscle that, right? Especially with losing a couple of minutes. Gobert should sit on a back-to-back. We've seen Gobert play some back-to-backs. The Gobert situation, he's one of the truly questionable. Whenever he's on the injury report, we've seen him play. We've seen him sit. We've seen him late scratch, now his reach. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily think that we should assume that he's out. Let me see. Gobert. Last back-to-back Gobert played. It's been a minute, huh? I guess the 28th of January. And then the 14th of January. So essentially what we're saying is it's not possible for him to play it back-to-back. So to assume it might be a little ambitious or risky. But it's not possible, not impossible, obviously. Why am I getting John Collins in so many lineups? Does John Collins shoot the three? Averages three-point attempts per game. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting an okay projection. I guess at 4,500 on DraftKings, you usually have a higher floor on some of these front court guys because of the peripherals available. So maybe that's why the projection I'm getting is 27 at 4,500. That's not bad. It's not. I'll take it, right? So I don't hate it. But it's one of those guys I never trust them. Ingram running into punch Paul was funny. Chris Paul's been involved in some. You guys remember that Houston Rockets Clippers debacle? I think it was when Paul was already on the Rockets, and there was like crazy stories that came out of that, and they were talking about like secret tunnels that players went through to go get to the other locker room. I don't know, it was wild. What up, Ego? What up, OMG? They hate Murray over at DraftKings. Yeah, 7,800. We saw this earlier in the year too, man. He was putting together some bangers. Is averaging 20 plus points per game. We know he could do it all. 40 plus is all I need on this slate. So yeah, I'll take it. If Reed plays, unlocks more, so hoping he sits. We'll see if that groin is bothering. Man, Nas Reed run after chalk nights are always the most fun, right? Police presence. Yeah, man. Those are some funny stories. Malice at the Palace was the best, yeah. But like when you watch that, you didn't think anyone was about to get shot. When this stuff with Jaw is developing, man, it's truly scary. Love the Celtics roster, but in short term, I think the Bucks are taking the East. I think so. I think those are the two teams. I think when the Celtics are truly healthy, that they have the best repertoire to slow down the Bucks, if that makes sense. I'm also just a believer that the Phoenix Suns are going to be just a problem. Barkley and Shaq had, those two, when Barkley and Shaq go off on their old school barbershop tangents, bro, I love it. It's the best. I love that type of stuff. All right. Any props that you guys want to attack? Do we get Trae Young assist at single digits? 9.5. Let's see. Once again, this team's on the under. There's been a couple guys lately where this team's on the under, and I'm like, I'm on the over. So you could wait for a better line. Same with Chris Paul yesterday, right? But I guess it would just be irresponsible. Don't sleep on the Celtics. I don't think anyone's sleeping on the Celtics, Vic. Spurs and the Rockets. This is going to be a pretty important game for tonight, and this is going to be a headache to figure out. But if you're managing a portfolio of lineups, zigging and zagging and having groups with this one on this slate, this is the heart of the slate, as weird as that sounds, right? Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, Kenyon Martin, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun taking on Trey Jones, Romeo Langford, Keita Bates-Diop, Jeremy Sohan, Zach Collins. Both starting lineups subject to change. More so the Spurs starting lineup. I've seen versions or variations of the Spurs lineup that included Blake Wesley, Devontae Graham. So what can we key on with any bit of confidence? Well, who can we plant 30 plus minutes on with any bit of confidence? I think Jalen Green on the Rockets is probably they're most likely to play 30 plus minutes, right? 29 minutes against Memphis the other day, kind of a lopsided game, still put up 20 points. And this would be his third game since the All-Star break, right? Kevin Porter Jr. came back, but they said that he would be managed, right? He played 26 minutes in that same game. So I think Jalen Green stands out as the guy that's most likely to play 30 plus minutes. The situation with Şengün is stressful, right? This is one of the most glorious matchups in all of basketball, and for a guy like Şengün, I would be all over it. But they've just been extra tanky with their minute rotation. This is kind of a tank bowl, but we have seen Rockets in games that were quasi-competitive, especially down the stretch in the fourth quarter or within 15 points, whatever, and they opt to just not play Şengün, right? You look at this Blazers game, the final score is probably more lopsided as a result than in real time. Şengün didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter of that one. Şengün barely played a couple minutes in the game against the Nuggets. And then in that Memphis game, Şengün played a little patch of minutes in the fourth quarter. So it's a frustrating situation for a guy that can be as productive and efficient for fantasy as Şengün is, especially in one of the best matchups in all of basketball. Matter of fact, it might be the best matchup if we're just looking at DVP. It's the second best matchup. But you just kind of get hesitant to click his name at 7,500 because you don't know if he's playing 26 minutes or 36 minutes. And lately it's been more like the 26. So mostly healthy Rockets. Jason Tate, you're only out here. So this is a frustrating spot. The Spurs have a little bit more of a depth issue today because of their injury report. Devin Vassell out again, Dougie McBuckets, Kellen Johnson, Branham, Ken Birch, whatever. So we can lean on a couple of guys a little bit more, or at least with a little bit more confidence than some of these Rockets guys. And Devontae Graham seems like the guy that we all want to get to. And that's the homie, right? 4,500 for him. Anytime that he's, I don't say anytime, but since being on the Spurs, a couple opportunities and similar matchups, right? Pacers, similar pace matchup, saw 30 minutes in that game, 30 plus fantasy points. Charlotte was a point per minute in that game, even just being 3 for 12. Atlanta, we're looking at a couple of games here where he's shown us point per minute or better potential, and we kind of expect that tonight against the Rockets. So even if he doesn't start, it does seem like he has got a fast track to 30 plus minutes, which we like. And then Jeremy Sohan is the other guy that kind of piques our interest here. And it looks like he's piquing the interest of ownership as well. 31 minutes against a similarly paced Pacers team, shot just 42% on 26 field goals and still managed to be a nuclear play. So those two guys, maybe with Jalen Green, are at the top of my podium for confidence. And then once you start spinning the wheel, right, making a deal in the ranges of outcomes, Zach Collins has a true range of outcome for 40 plus fantasy points. Şengün the same, less confidence there. Bates Diop is projecting over 5x here, 30 fantasy points. Trey Jones, if he can stay on the court, 5K on DraftKings, looks like a really good click. So this is a stackable game, probably the meat and, I don't want to say the meat and potatoes, but the heartbeat of a lot of successful lineups tonight. But you can see a lot of landmines amongst it, right? So I do think we want to, if you are running X amount of lineups and you know that you have to have this game, make some groups and correlate as you can, or make sure you have randomness attacking a few different scenarios, and then definitely be around before these lineups or when these lineups are confirmed to just kind of make sure that you're leaning in the right direction. Don't necessarily think that, like, if this lineup comes out and Devontae's not starting, I don't think that means Devontae's a bad play, and vice versa. But you certainly would want to teeter-totter the seesaw to be on the right side of the starters and the projections, and maybe get ahead of a sleeping field that might be watching MMA tonight. So this game means a lot. What are you guys doing with this game? Because it feels like this 231 point spread Spurs Rockets games is going to be what decides the top of GPPs tonight, right? KBD should get close to 30 minutes on the Spurs side. K to base the app. Yeah, I got him at 32. Shaq and Barkley flaming Kenny when he says famous people know who he is. Nobody knows who Kenny is. Yeah, Kenny. I would know who Kenny is, but who am I? You like the Knicks to come out the East, Jake? I think it would be a fun story. I don't know. I always worry about teams that are lack depth, and I don't mean that in a playoff sense, because in the playoffs your starters are playing 40 minutes. But I just mean that, like, man, they're gonna be. I'm tired, boss. This guy's running in the ground 38, 40 minutes, and that's been the Thibodeau recipe for disaster his whole career, though. So, like, with the Celtics, we've seen them punt games and win games, or be competitive, or be able to blow teams out, and use a Peyton Pritchard or Grant Williams, guys like that. I do worry about the Knicks, and the Knicks would be, knock on wood, one Randall or Brunson injury away from not even being a contender, right? But if you is the same true for the Celtics if you lose one? I would say if you lost Jaylen Brown, I think they're still competitive. Jason Tatum's probably the X factor there. But, I mean, you could do that with any team, so that's not fair. But I do think the Knicks could be a fun story. And that market would really, really like to have some winning basketball. And I like Josh Hart. So I'm rooting for them. But I don't know. I don't have them up there with the Bucks and the Celtics right now. Maybe I'm sleeping on them. Maybe. Have Graham tonight in my lineup, slate night hammer. Vic, last time I looked, Graham was the highest owned player on DraftKings. So that hammer is just going to probably keep you even with the field. What's up, Humboldt? Best pay up option tonight on DraftKings. Pay up? Probably a Giannis or an Embiid, right? I have Giannis leading the slate right now. Fantasy points by 4. So that's probably the best option. Just because raw points are going to matter that much more on a slate like this, especially when we have decent value. These smaller slates would value like the Rockets and the Spurs, and I don't know, maybe some of these scrubs from the Pistons. Create a studs and scrubs scenario much faster. Knicks have a ceiling of a tough out in the second round for now. Just need to see more friend why. I hope so. I think basketball could use a good team from New York. Thoughts on Blake Wesley for FanDuel? So Wesley's one of the guys I saw in one of the projected starting lineups. So I have him at 25 fantasy points on a 24-minute projection. Let's go look at the story of Blake Wesley via Add More Funds. Let's just put Wesley on the court, see what he's offering as a per minute. And while we're doing that, you guys want to hit that thumbs up button for me, man? Show some love. But appreciate it. Wesley, 0.7 DraftKings points per minute overall. With a what happened all here? Yeah. We start taking names off. We're not going to have a ton of minutes, but Keldon Johnson is a massive usage guy that's off the court. Devin Vassell as well. I appreciate you, Nate. What do you think about Kevin Love as far as DFS tonight? I'm at 25-ish fantasy points on both sides. Am I light on his minute projection? I've just been in the low 20s. 23, 24, 21 minutes. So if you got a cap in minutes like that, and most of your minutes are going to come alongside these high usage guys, I'd be very trepidatious. So unless we can get him to 30 plus minutes at 5K now, I'm not that enthusiastic. if you meant in a basketball sense, as far as the pickup in this conversation we're having about the East, I think it's a good pickup. Wesley somehow went down in fantasy points per minute when we take off Johnson and Vassell. Intriguing. Indubitably. Wesley's one of those volatile guys that would make some rules on, right? We'd probably put a low cap on him, Charles Bassey. That's probably it. I wouldn't push you away from it. The projections coming back to me better than I would have expected looking at those numbers we just looked at. Yeah, Langford could push Wesley down and project the minutes for sure. You like Charles Bassey? I don't mind that. So let's look at that last slate. Bassey had pretty decent projected ownership, and he offered 16 minutes. So they DNP Gorgie Zhang, so we probably expect that to continue to happen. And is he just the immediate backup to Zach Collins? So if you want some Bassey in your life, it looks like his path to success tonight would come at the expense of Zach Collins. So we'd probably make a rule in our cruncher to not put them in the same lineup, right? Because for Bassey to get deep minutes, we would need Zach Collins to maybe be in foul trouble, assuming they wouldn't tag in Gorgie Zhang for no random reason. But per minute, Bassey produces, so I don't mind it. Got our Detroit blowout proof with all the injuries? Probably. Let's see. Who would get the vet treatment? Anybody? No one here looks like somebody I would protect. Probably. We've had Pistons blowouts, right? Like, might have a little bit to go off of, but even more so today, I get what you're saying because of how many people are out. So let's look at the Celtics game. I guess the Celtics kept their starters in. Do you have any anybody off your dome have a game lately? How about the last Cavs game? Looks like that was a blowout. In that game, the Cavs kept the starters on the court. Oh, okay, they were without Garland anyway, and LeVert started. So the Cavs were really shorthanded. But I guess in that game, we saw Ivy on the court late, Bojan on the court late, still got 30 minutes. So I'd probably say with light research, yes. If you wanted to get to some Pistons, maybe the scoreboard or the spread shouldn't deter you too much. It's still a bad matchup just because of the pace and the defensive strength of the Cavs. But the minutes should still be there, and maybe the defense lightens up with a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter, you know? For props here, what are we thinking? I think this is a game we want to get on. How about a Zach Collins fantasy points? What can we get there? 32.5. Fudge. That's pretty efficient. I'm at 37, so I'm still on the over here, and it's still a not bad matchup. But though Houston's points in the paint defense, or at least the results, are way better than you might think. They give up a lot of fast break points and a lot of points via the three ball. Matter of fact, I think they give up the most points in the league via the three ball. Let's see, 3-pointers made per game. The Rockets 14.7, and they also see the most 3-point attempts per game. And this version of the Spurs lineup, we expect Devontae Graham to chuck the most threes of these guys. So maybe a Graham point prop. That's not going to be offered, is it? Anybody else chucking threes? Sohan maybe. Let's see. Sohan attempting 2.3. No one's really chucking threes like that, but Graham is, and that's also a per game stat from the season. I think Graham's stuff is going to go up in a tighter sample size because of the increase in playing time. Like the Pacers game, he took 10. So yeah, everything's pushing as a plus, net positive for Devontae Graham to have a good game here. And then what else on the Spurs? I guess 30.5 fantasy points for Sohan. I have him at 34. So I would lightly lean Sohan over Zach Collin over to an extent. Trey Jones. Can we get Trey Jones like assists at a reasonable price? He's not even on the board. All right, cool. 1.5 blocks and steals for Zach Collins. That's intriguing because we know the Rockets have been a team that allows a lot of that, right? Let's see. Blocks allowed per game, the Rockets allow the most. And then turnovers per game, the Rockets have the most. So maybe if we didn't, I'm thinking blocks and steals for Collins might be the move here. What do you guys think? Blocks and steals over 1.5 in this matchup? I think I would like that. I'm with it. You rather see me face Lesnar at Mania than Omos? You don't want that. You wouldn't want me to end. Nah, I'm scared of Brock Lesnar. Omos is kind of boring though. I hate to say that. Hate on somebody, but I've never been enthralled with anytime he's on my TV. Gun, thoughts on Westbrook's legacy? First of all, Ryan, you know god dang well what you're doing. Westbrook's another guy. I hope he can finish strong, but it's looking rough. The world's out to get him. Like the other day, the Warriors were defending Westbrook by leaving him open on the 3-point line. And it's just like one of those situations where we just saw Westbrook get benched for dumb play. If he takes that shot, bricks it off the backboard because that's not his strong suit, he gets roasted on Twitter. He doesn't take that shot to give his team a better chance at scoring there and not get benched, and he still gets roasted, man. The world is just out to hate on Westbrook. And then he has last night, unfortunately, Westbrook, one of his best games of the season was last night, and they lose, man. My heart goes out to Westbrook so much. You think 5K John Collins ridiculous? When Maxey does well, so does Melton. 90 points between them tonight. All right. 250 viewers, 64 likes. Come on, y'all. Let's boost that up. Also, how we do on subs so far? Yesterday we started at 84.47. So we got 3 new subscribers during this stream. So if you're out there lurking, you like the vibes, want to hang out more, we do these streams 6 days a week usually. Subscribe, man. Be around in the afternoon. Get you started hanging out, you know. 5 turnovers is unacceptable. Miss me with that. Miss me with that. In that pace game, come on. Also, we have just a couple of uses on the MLB Pass special, or MLB special. It's a year pass for all things RunDFS.com. I spearhead the NBA, the NFL, and the MLB content. And then Smeezy has been doing NASCAR content. And they have NASCAR racing today, tomorrow. So shout out to Smeezy for that. Which comes with a player pool and projections there. So if you guys want to lock in, this is definitely our best offer yet. So the year pass was already reduced to $4.99 last month. It's going to stay at $4.99, except for the few people that use coupon code MLB, and that's going to get the pass down to $3.99, which is probably the best deal we've ever done in terms of RunDFS.com package. And I believe when we started the stream, there was only 2 left. So if you want to take advantage of that, you should do it. Do it now. That's going to come with the spreadsheets for every sport that I do, my player pool, strategy notes, projections for all these sports, the premium Discord access, and voice chat. I'm usually in voice chat before locks if I'm not doing something else somewhere else. Guns, prop targets on sportsbooks. Whenever I have leans on those, I post those. And then, of course, for baseball, if you've never played baseball DFS, I think I could help you out and help bridge the gap from casual to sharp real quick, man. My baseball spreadsheet is probably the thing I'm most proud of out of anything that I've created in this space. And the bomb detector is a magical, wonderful thing. So you add that to your daily repertoire as you're making your baseball lineups throughout this summer, man. I think you'll have a fun time. You'll have a fun time. That pass at the end to Westbrook went over his head and turned the game off. Unfortunate. I'm a numbers guy. I rarely watch the games. Fortunately, PG went off like one turnover, great stat line. I mean, turnovers, high assist guys usually come with high turnover rates, right? Like, that's not in a one game set. And Westbrook has been a very big turnover guy, so it's not, I'm not dismissing that. But look at James Harden. I think him and Tyrese Maxey lead the league in assists per game or potential assists per game. Well, the more assists and shots you create, the more turnovers you're going to have. 6 turnovers, 4 turnovers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not 7 turnovers against Orlando, right? Turnovers are going to come for the guys that are big on assists and big on passing the ball. So to use that in a single game context for a guy who was plus 10 and had his best game of the season, I think it's just kind of, I would say lazy, but it's kind of not fair to the grand scheme of it because it wasn't a net negative overall. But being a high turnover guy certainly is a problem. But you're going to get more turnovers. It's like Brett Favre, right? The most passes, also the most interceptions. It's just going to happen. Yeah, and you think about the pace of the Kings. The Kings aren't the Kings the fastest paced team? If not them, the Warriors. Like, that many more possessions. Like, 5 isn't something to crucify him over. If you look at something where you could improve on, maybe Sacramento's not as high in pace as I thought, but a lot of fast-paced basketball there. Assist to turnover, yeah. Like, it's not insignificant. I just wanted to put a little context to, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world to have 5 turnovers when you still have a good game and you're still creating points and being a net positive. So, to each his own. But I'm a Westbrook guy, so I'll defend him when I can. Sixers at the Bucks. Project starting 5 for the Sixers: James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, Joel Embiid taking on Jrue Holiday, Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Brook Lopez. We got 232 total here. 5-point spread favor the Milwaukee Bucks. Pretty clean sheets to speak of in terms of news and notes. Bing bong.
Sweet Diesel super chatted $1.99.
Yo, Squeak, thank you so much. Appreciate the $1.99. It is a new month, huh? So you're right there on the, you swanging the biggest D so far. Everybody, eyes up here. Eyes up here. So this is our heavyweight game of the night, right? Embiid versus Giannis, a little MVP action. And then James Harden at sub 10K. Certainly using the value from maybe the Spurs Rockets games from the Pistons. Lineup construction will have us look at this game pretty fast for upside in our lineups. And Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, those are guys that immediately enter the conversation as highest raw point projected guys on both FanDuel and DraftKings. So we'll see if we can get to them at a decent clip. Let's see what ownership is saying on Giannis. Pretty decent tame ownership from the last projection or the last sweep I was looking at. Looks like more people are on Embiid than Giannis. Almost 2 times more. So I could see that. If I win tonight and they're still available, I will get one. Half of it is when I win baseball. Yeah, that's what's up. Got you. DM me if you have any questions about that pass. DM me. Or if it does sell out and a couple of you guys still want it, maybe DM me and I'll see if we can make some magic happen. Twitter or Discord. So I think it's the regular approach here. We grab a hold of the guys with the ceilings, the Embiids, the Hardens, the Giannis is here. And what do we do with the role players? So you guys have mentioned Maxey and Melton. Maxey certainly had a couple of spike games as of late. Still at a reasonable 5,400 for the last 3 game ranges of outcomes. I would certainly take it. I guess the last 2 games are in a slower pace type game, 16, 17, 21 shot attempts. What's different here than he's just being more efficient, right? Shooting 50+%. All right. Yeah, I think that'll fill a need. I have him at 32 minutes, right about 30 fantasy points. So at 5,400, I'm in on that. Tobias, I've been lackluster or lukewarm with. And somebody mentioned DeAnthony Melton. And Melton's at 4K. So Melton has been a stocking stuffer type guy. Fill up the stat sheet, and that's something we've seen from him in the last couple games. 30+ minutes in 3 games straight. What's the constant there? How does this happen? Let's go look at the Philadelphia minute rotation. Haven't done much MLB DFS. We're going to give it a go this season. I hope you like it. Give it a chance. I think MLB DFS certainly has a lot of variance, and there's a lot of nuances with the rules. But if you can appreciate time away from the computer, a little change of pace than NBA, I think you'll like it. And it's pretty simple. It's really a stack-based sport. So like in 20 lineups, I always say pick 4 or 5 teams you like, stack them 4 or 5 deep, let her rip. And that's kind of the simplistic approach. And then knowing the variance of baseball, when one team accrues 20% cumulative ownership, the mathematical play is just to fade it and gravitate towards other teams that you like. So it's a pretty simple sport. I think it's very complex to learn, but once you get it, and it's the easiest sport to do, in my opinion. I used to think it was the hardest. Now I think it's the easiest. But I built a monster to help me. I think Mitchell goes for 70, but it will matter because value stacking of Young plus Murray on DK looks better. Thoughts? So you think Mitch, as in Donovan Mitchell, goes for 70, but will it matter because I think Young and Murray makes more competitive sense because Mitchell's in such a lopsided spread. But we did see Mitchell joke about him needing to score more points. What was it that he said his mama called him and said Dame outscored? Or something about when Damian Lillard dropped what he did. They hit up, was it Donovan Mitchell's mom or girlfriend? Somebody hit him up and it was like, Love MLB Showdown, 9th hole donkey at MVP. Sweat's always fun. MLB Showdown's so different from anything. All right, so how do we explain? I don't want to say explain, but is Melton 30 minutes real life is the question I have. Who is not playing deep minutes? PJ Tucker, is he the guy that's suffering minute-wise? PJ Tucker, 19 minutes, and Melton started the game against the Heat, and there was no Embiid. And then the first game against the Heat, Melton started. Are we running a little bit good with Melton? Putting a little bit more context to the so what happened? So Melton. All right, so 3 games in a row of Melton 30 minutes. The first game Maxey didn't play, right? The second game, Embiid didn't play, and PJ Tucker went to the 5. The third game, PJ Tucker didn't play the fourth quarter, and Melton did. Are we overvaluing Melton's minutes right now? Okay, Boston 25 minutes. Was that a normal game? He started against Boston because Maxey was out. I think at 4K, I'm still willing to take a shot if he did fall into 25 minutes in a fast-paced game against the Bucks. But it does feel like it's easy to get tricked by game log here on minutes the last 3 games, because it seems like there's one variable in each game that creates the path to extra minutes. But I do agree with the sentiment that 4K is a cheap enough price point for his ceiling if he fell into some minutes here. Butler in. All right, let's see. Well, that's good to know. Jimmy Butler, knee available to play. That was it, right? Soccer's impossible in DFS. I haven't really dabbled with it much. We're talking about hoop or baseball. We talk about ease of play. I was talking about baseball. Basketball, I think the difficulty in basketball is the amount of time that you have to give to it to be competitive. With baseball, when lineups are sometimes out hours before lock, and you could build, a batch of lineups at 2 p.m. and not really have to change much. The news in baseball is usually more so like the weather, which is annoying, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot less stress when it comes to crunch time in baseball than it is basketball. Think he scores 70 points. Mama, I don't hate that hunch. I mean, like, it certainly, when we look back tonight, are we stunned if Mitchell had, incredible scoring game? No. And there's a little narrative there if you wanted to use that for your hunch, sure. So supplementary pieces for the Bucks past Giannis. Drew Holiday at 8,700 would probably need to net you 50 fantasy points to kind of be pertinent to this slate. And then Chris Middleton. What are we doing with Middleton? He's another guy that his per minute production is super impactful while he's on the court, but we're still not expecting big minutes out of him. So it does feel like a glass ceiling, but man, how often is he still throwing us 30 plus fantasy points, 30 plus in 4 of his last 5 games? And this is potentially, one of those Eastern Conference previews, right? We talked about the Sixers, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Heat, maybe the Knicks. Those are teams that, out here to make statement games. Just for fun, let's look at historical numbers between these two. Joel Embiid, DKP by game log versus, let's put Giannis just to put them both on the court together, but I get it. Brook Lopez, whatever. Let's go last 10 games. What's up, Mr. Patrick? Thoughts on playing Wiseman and Jared Allen in the same lineup? On a 5-game slate, I think you can get away with it a little bit more. It does, like, for a ceiling for Allen, usually comes with 20 rebounds and 3 blocks, right? Wiseman's rebounds, 9, 10. Would want more shot attempts, so it is negatively correlated. But on this slate, like, I wouldn't look at your lineup and point and laugh, but probably would want maybe a different route. If we're just honoring correlation, Let's see, Embiid against Giannis, 65, 36, 60. So 60 plus in 3 of his last 4. What was his 35? 36 minutes on the 20th of October. And in that game, Embiid was 6 for 21. Oof. All right, and now the inverse. I think if Maxey starts with Harden, Holiday loves to trip up his matchup, so I think Maxey will take the hit so Harden can get Embiid off it himself. Okay. Yeah. All right, so we'll fire them at each other. I don't have the warm fuzzies on Middleton, Drew, Portis at their price points. I feel like they are like emergency price in case Giannis is out. So if they fall, they fall. I think we could take a floor game out of one of them, but it would have to be like higher end floor. Like I think you would probably want like at least 45 out of Drew Holiday if you roster him tonight. So that's how we attack that game. All right, one game left on the docket. Bro, my Streamlabs says 399 viewers. Clearly it's 299, but I almost fainted. I was like, what? 399? That ain't right. Yeah. Way to go, Streamlabs. Edwards has 19 stocks last 4 games, just needs to shoot the ball better, and he's playing the Kings. I like that a lot, Rob. Let's talk about that game. T-Wolves at the Kings, projects 35 for the T-Wolves. Mike Conley crossing over with Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Kyle. The Andersons got tickets to the game. How'd they get tickets? Rudy Gobert taking on De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. We got a 238 total, 5-point spread in favor of the Sacramento Kings. Lot to like here. Kings on night 2 of back-to-back went down to the wire last night. Noel's on the injury report. Rashawn Holmes, 2 guys that aren't going to make a big splash. Noel does matter to some extent. And then some of you guys have asked about Rudy Gobert, but I don't have Rudy Gobert listed on anything, so I just have to assume that he's in. And this is an island game, so like, sure, be versatile or flexible if you have that hunch that he might not play, but there's nothing in writing for me to justify thinking that way, so I won't. I like that call on Anthony Edwards. This is a massive pace-up game here. He's 8-9 on FanDuel, 9,400 on DraftKings, looking for 50-plus fantasy points. I think of all the guys today in that price range, right, around the 9K area, that could break the slate. I think he's probably my favorite click. James Harden is there, but I think Harden could, median range of outcome mid-40s. Donovan Mitchell, 16-point spread. Fox, maybe, sure. Trae Young, could get vultured a little bit by DeJounte. There's a lot of guys that have immediate pushback, but when you look at the Kings here, I don't really have as much pushback on Anthony Edwards with no D Russ, with Cat down, life without. This is his team, right? So I like the idea of Anthony Edwards quite a bit. And his stocks have been really nice. 6 stocks last night, 5, 4, and on FanDuel that's going to add up, and on PrizePicks that's going to add up really quickly. And those are games where they're scoring a little over 100. Probably expect this game to net the Timberwolves one of their highest scoring outputs in a little bit. 238 total, so maybe 120 points, 115, 116, something like that. So a couple more extra. Bing bong.
I Love Money super chatted $4.99. 2 guys to start a core?
2 guys to start a core. Says celebrate the first super chat from I Love Money. 2 guys to start a core. Man, I'm thinking. So I Love Money. You don't have to drop another one, but if you could maybe elaborate on contest type. Is it single entry? Is it? I guess if you're talking about a core, you're probably a multi-entry guy. And usually what I want to core around is guys that should shatter their points per dollar output. So I mean, if ownership be darned, right? Like Devontae Graham and Jeremy Sohan looking pretty doggone good. However, those are two of the highest owned guys on the slate. I think Edwards makes a lot of sense if we're looking for a contrarian core, but I usually don't core the 9 to 10K guys. So if I was just opening the book this morning, it would probably be the Spurs. And it would be a combination of Devontae, Sohan, Zach Collins, guys like that. And then, yeah. And then we rotate, find some value, rotate studs on a slate like this. And the studs are very, very, very nice today. Look at EMAC in chat. Yo, EMAC, let's give EMAC a wrench just so he sticks out. I don't know what's the difference between a moderator and a managing moderator. I don't know. What's up, Absolute? Hope you're doing all right. But anyway, when it comes to this game, much like last night, we saw Fox and Sabonis have dueling 50s, and I think that's possible again here. So there, I mean, if you were to forego guys like Giannis, guys like Embiid, you know, those price points, and try to build around 2 or 3 9K players, I think that's an interesting approach. Again, looking at ownership, let's see, Edwards. Edwards is like in a little over 1 in 10 lineups. Sabonis a little over 1 in 10 lineups. Fox. So I think maybe even a little game stack here. How hard would it be to achieve Edwards, Fox, Sabonis on a lineup? Probably a little tricky, right? Edwards, Fox, Sabonis. And I don't love long-term putting Fox and Sabonis together for dueling upside, but out of all the studs that play together, the Kings running such a fast-paced offense and being positively correlated, like you look at Sabonis averaging 7 assists per game, Fox 6 assists per game, like they'll cross paths quite a bit there. So I think they're more positive correlated for double stud output. Like you remember back in the Westbrook, KD, Westbrook, Paul George days, I kind of get that vibe here. So I don't mind that. But if we were to do that here, Fox, Edwards, Sabonis, we get 43 per. So that's probably a little too tough to make work. But I don't know. We throw a Devontae Graham in there. We'd really need one cheapie. And I don't think, while there is value in the slate, there hasn't been like a 3K guy that is popping. So maybe it's not as viable. We'd probably go 2 or 3. And in which case, I'd probably prioritize Edwards at the highest of the 3. I really think Edwards has a chance to be one of the highest scorers on the slate, like 70 fantasy points. So I'm with that, right? What else we got? Goat status. Did you DK20 max? Okay, yeah. So man, I'm not I'm not as afraid to use the chalk on a 20 lineup build if I think the chalk is strong and it's a 5-game slate. So in that line of thinking, with like Devontae Graham at 4,500 on DraftKings, with all these guys out, with as fruitful as this matchup is, playing into all of his strengths at 4,500, like to ask myself, is there a 50% chance that this guy is in the optimal lineup? Or for 50% probability that he's in an optimal lineup, that his output is that good? And like every projection source is a resounding yes. So I'm willing to bite the chalk on Devontae. And in situations like that, if his ownership gets to what are we saying, 50%, right now he's already in like 1 and 2 lineups, I'm just looking at that point, I believe in him, I'm taking leverage. So borderline a lock button for me in 20 lineups, just to have leverage and make his game that more meaningful to my batch of lineups. Usually I wouldn't want to subscribe to that line of thinking, but I think on this slate I'm willing to. And it's kind of the same with Sohan. I think Sohan's shown that in the absence of Keldon Johnson and some of these other guys that we're missing with Devin Vassell, like he's going to have to step up. So those two make too much sense at their price points for me today that I'd rather sweat elsewhere. So I'm okay with attaching my wagon to those two in 20 lineups and riding from there. So I might do like 90% exposure to those guys. Although Sohan's not quite as owned as Devontae Graham is, so you don't have to be as aggressive, but I'm still a guy that likes to be on 20 lineups like 60% on his core four. So those are, two guys I'm still fine with, Is KPJ going to be limited? It seems that way. And with all of the Rockets, other than Jalen Green, I don't really have a lot of warm and fuzzies on projecting them well. 26 minutes against Memphis, coming back from that foot injury. Says, however, he wasn't overly efficient, blah, blah, blah. He was reportedly going to operate under a strict minutes restriction, but ended up garnering a relatively normal role. Well, not really, because he played 26 minutes. So I'm worried about that, but I would be looking for more coach quotes, coach speak before lock, maybe in the pregame presser that would steer us closer. But yeah, I think we should assume he's limited, right? All right, guys, we got anything else for me? Questions, comments, concerns? Get us out of here. Got to get into the Discord. Got to get my player pool ready. So reminder, get that MLB pass or the MLB coupon code. If you have any questions about that, DM me on Twitter, on Discord. We'll get you set up. But lock in for the entire remainder of this calendar year for $3.99, the absolute best deal Run DFS has ever put out. And then, if you're on No House Advantage tonight, John Jones, free square, half a significant strike. You can attach that with some NBA action if you want to. $10 max bet. Really cool promotion that they're doing. If you want to jump in on that, use code GUNDACKER when you sign up, or use this link in chat, and it'll get you going, right? Any chance we can hear an update on Embiid from Doc? Man, last time I did the Doc, my voice hurted all night. Hey, you guys go check out the Live Before Lock on Stochastic if you're not in the Discord. I'll see you guys on Monday, probably. Tell somebody out there you love them, man. I appreciate you making part of my afternoon, be part of your afternoon. I love you. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.